everyone. Welcome to the Department of Collegiate and Technical Education. My name is Yasmin Taj. I'm a lecturer in Government Women's Polytechnic, Bangalore. In this session, I'll be discussing about the manufacturing sand. This is from the session 8 of Unit 3, that is Processed Construction Materials Unit. Before I go to this manufacturing sand, I think everyone will be knowing about this river sand. Why this sand is going to be used? Sand is going to be used for making mortars and concrete in the construction purpose, isn't it? Why this river sand is replaced with manufacturing sand nowadays? You might have seen in the construction places, everyone is going to use this manufacturing sand. What is this manufacturing sand? This manufacturing sand is the artificial sand which is produced from the crushing of hard stones into small sized angular shaped particles, and which is washed and then it is finely grained and it is used as a construction aggregate. Everyone will be knowing that an aggregate, a mortar or concrete is made of cement and aggregate, isn't it? This manufactured sand is going to be used for the making of mortar and concrete. I hope you understood this definition of manufacture. It's very simple. It's an artificial sand which is produced from the crushing of hard stones into small size angular shaped particles, and further it is washed to get a finely grained aggregate. That is the definition of sand. This manufactured sand is a substitute of river construction. That is, it's a substitute of river sand which is used for the construction purposes. And this manufactured sand, as I told, manufactured sand is obtained from crushing the stones. And the M sand is used as a fine aggregate, and the size of the grains here it is less than 4.75 mm, as it is used as a fine aggregate, and this is also called as robo sand. Hope you understood the definition of manufactured sand. It is very simple. That is, M sand is an artificial sand which is produced from the crushing of hard stone into small size angular shaped particles whose grains are less than 4.75 mm. That is the definition of manufactured sand. Next, we'll move on to the next why this manufactured sand is used. Why not river sand? What are the advantages of manufactured sand? As I told, manufactured sand is an alternative for river sand. Extracting the river sand from the river is very harmful to the environment, and that reduces the groundwater level, and then the river gets dried up. Because of that reason, this river sand is replaced by manufactured sand. This is one of the reasons why the river sand is replaced by manufactured sand, M sand. As you are going to take the river sand from the rivers, the groundwater level may go down and the river may get dried up. Because of that reason, the river sand is replaced by M sand. That is one of the reason. And then the another advantage is the quality of the M sand is greater than the river sand. The river sand may contain some of the river sand contains bones of human beings, animals, which cannot be easily segregated, and therefore this M sand is free from all these human or animal remains, which leads to good quality, and it can be made as per river requirement. That is the advantage of this M sand. The third point is availability and transportation of M sand. The M sand can be manufactured at the place of construction, nearby construction place. Therefore, the transportation charges is less, and it can be easily available. If you are available with some stones, the plant can be installed, and then you can manufacture the M sand. That is one of the advantage. And the next is cost of construction is less. Yes, when compared to the river sand, the cost of making this manufactured sand is less. That is also one of the advantage. And the next advantage is it is well graded in the required proportion, isn't it? As it is going to be manufactured, it can be graded as per your requirement, and therefore it is a well graded sand. And another advantage is absorption of water by M sand is very less when compared to river sand, which leads to high strength of concrete or mortar, so on. Yes, these are all some of the advantages of manufactured sand. In totally, why this manufactured sand is replaced is because of the main reason, that is the groundwater level is depleted down. If they are extracting more river sand from the earth, that is one of the reason. Because of this, nowadays the government has enforced some of the strict laws with rules and regulations for the supply of natural sand. So the best alternative with quality standards more or equal to the river sand is M sand. It is better to replace the river sand with M sand. It is recommended to use this crushed sand, and it is an economical way, sand and eco-friendly natural alternative of natural sand. Because of all these advantages, it is the best thing to replace the river sand by M sand. Hope you understood why this manufactured sand is used. Next, we'll move on to properties of M sand in concrete. What are the properties of M sand in this concrete? The first one is high strength of concrete. What is this high? As I told, this is the concrete made from this M sand is having high strength when compared to the concrete which is made from river sand. M sand has high compressive strength and high flexural strength. Why this river sand may lead to less strength concrete means because of the weathering thing. What will happen, the natural sand particles may be in rounded shape, whereas in this sand particles are angular, or they are having rough texture, sharp angular in the grains. Because of this angular grains or rough texture of grains, what happens, there is a better bonding between the mortar and in concrete, isn't it? There is a better bonding between the these aggregates in concrete or mortar, thereby providing the improved strength properties. Therefore, the concrete which is produced from M sand is having a high strength. The second property is durability. Yes, M sand has a greater durability. It has balanced physical and chemical properties which can withstand any aggressive environment or climatic conditions. It is having resistance against the some defective environmental conditions and climatic conditions, and therefore the M sand, the concrete which is made from M sand, is having greater durability when compared to river sand concrete or any mortar. That is one of the property. The next property is workability. It is workability of concrete. Is if the concrete is made of M sand, gives good workability for concrete and masonry. M sand is well graded with the precision and consistency, and thus it has high finer modulus compared to the natural sand and crushed dust. Therefore, this M sand gives a good workability for the concrete or masonry, that is mortar. The next is less construction defects. Is the concrete or mortar made from M sand has less construction defects. Why? Because this M sand has optimum property of initial setting time and final setting time with an excellent fineness, which helps to overcome the deficiencies of concrete, such as it may be segregation, bleeding, voids, or capillary. Because of this, there is a less construction defect in the concrete or mortar which is made of M sand. The next is economy. The concrete made from this M sand is economical, and in the international construction scenario, no river sand is used at all. Only the sand which is manufactured sand, M sand, is used for the superior strength, and because of its good properties, the M sand is going to be used for the making of concrete or mortar. The next is eco-friendly. Is the mining of river sand has led to many environmental disasters like the soil erosion of riverbed and banks, and it has damaged the natural ecosystem. The groundwater may get depleted. All these are the environmental disasters which are obtained because of the mining of river sand. This can be overcome by using the manufactured sand, which is an eco-friendly and sustainable resource for the construction purpose. These are all the properties of M sand in concrete. Hope you have understood. High strength of concrete, durability of concrete, workability of concrete, less construction defects in concrete, economical conditions, economy, and then eco-friendly. The next is manufacturing process of M sand, very important. How this M sand is going to be manufactured? This M sand is manufactured with the help of what is the basic material? Is stones. Crushed stones are going to be used for the manufacturing process of this M sand. The production usually involves a series of stone crushers and screeners to filter the crushed aggregates to an accepted size. That means uh, the crushers are going to be used to crush the stone, and then screens are used to screen out the small sized particles to get the required size of grains and sand. And it is noted that the dust from the crushers has to be removed, which is not a good quality, which does not lead to a good quality in manufactured sand. And so what is the process of for manufacturing sand? Usually commences from the quarrying of rocks, which involves blasting and drilling. The process produces rocks of smaller size, which are then transported to the crushing plants. And then the sand is usually produced in three-stage crushing process. What are those three-stage crushing process? As I told you, the important in totally the manufactured sand has to be processed, means it has to overcome these 5 stages as per the engineering norms and criteria. The first one is jaw crushing, cone crushing, VSIC is this vertical shaft impactors crushing, and then screening, classification, that is classifiers. Here the washing will take place. In totally, first the rocks has to be crushed. The rocks, the blasted rocks, the quarried rocks has to be crushed in 3 stages. That is, the first is jaw crushing, cones crushing, and vertical shaft impactor crushing. After crushing, then it has to be screened to remove the fine particles, and then it has to be classified or washed away. Why this manufactured sand is washed? To remove silt particles or very small grains. So the washing of M sand takes place at the last stage with the help of classifiers. Yes. In the first stage, the rocks are crushed and downsized from 500 mm to 150 mm by using jaw crushers. In the second stage, the rocks are again crushed to a size of 150 mm. In the first stage, it is 500 to 150 mm. In the second stage, the size of rocks is 150 mm to 40 mm by using the cone crushers. And in the final stage, again these rocks are crushed with the help of vertical shaft impactors to get a small size grains that is less than 4.75 mm, and then it is screened and then it is classified or washed away. We will learn one by step by step. The first one is jaw crushing. This is the first stage of crushing which reduces the boulders from quarry to aggregates. A jaw crusher is used to reduce the large size rocks by placing the rock into compression, isn't it? Here, what is this? You can see here in the sketch. This is the jaw crusher. In totally, here what is happening? The rocks are crushed into smaller size of rocks. That is, the size of rocks here in the jaw crushing obtained is 500 mm to 150 mm. You can see the sketch here. It is a V-aligned jaw plates, and the rock remains in the jaws until it is broken into small enough to pass through the gap between the jaws, between at the bottom of jaws. I'll show you a video at later stage. You can see the sketch here. This is the jaw crusher where the rocks are crushed into smaller size 500 mm to 150 mm. That is about this jaw crusher. Next we will move on to the next one, that is cone crushing. In this cone crushing, what will happen is the cone crushers is in the cone crushers, the aggregates are again crushed here into smaller pieces, which are usually below 150 mm size. In the jaw crushers, you get the size up to 150 mm. In the cone crushers, you got the crush size of the grains, size of the stones, which is usually below 100 mm, 150 mm in size. Here, the cone aggregates and the materials are crushed to a size of 90 mm, it may be 100 mm, right, as I told, which is less than 150 mm. The crushing action is caused by the closing gap between the movable mounted on the vertical and the central of the vertical spindle, and this you can see in this sketch here. This is the cone crusher in which the stones are crushed into smaller pieces of size less than 100 mm in size. The next one is VIC. VSIC. The full form of VSIC is Vertical Shaft Impact Crusher. This is also one of the crusher. This is one of the most commonly used crushers in making M sand, and it has gained popularity because of this production of good quality sand. Here, how it is crushed means here the material is fed into the vertical shaft chamber with the rotating shaft at a high rate the materials of consistent size are crushed into a smaller size. The main advantage of this process is the material breaks down at a minimum surface area. It means all the grains are break down into a smaller size, which is less than 4.75 mm, which makes the particle of cubical shape, spherical shape, and brings the consistency in size. That is the advantage of this VSIC. You can see the sketch of VSIC here. Next, we'll move on to the next one, that is screening. It's after the materials from the VSIC, it is passed to the stage 4 of the process, which is that one, that is screening. The M sand of the required particle size is screened and segregated here. Next is classifiers. Classifiers work on the two principles. It may be a wet classifier or dry classifier. Here the M sand is classified as per the codes and engineering standards and stored for its dispatch. What are these wet classifiers and dry classifier? In the dry classifier, the heaviest particle, mainly 150 microns, will fall at the bottom of the inner core, and on a tube, and you can see here the sketch. This is the dry classifier, which is classified as sand conforming to the standards of IS 383. And the next one is a wet classifier. In this, the washing of M sand takes place. 150 microns sand is going to be removed with the help of this wet classifier. That is about this dry classifier and wet classifier. Totally, the washing of M sand takes place in this classifiers. This is the flow diagram how the manufacturing of sand takes place. You can see here, first of all, the stones are quarried, and then it is taken to the primary crusher, that is jaw crusher, and then it is screened in the same crusher, only the screening will be there. The next is secondary crusher. After the secondary crusher, again it is taken to the next crusher, that is vertical shaft impactor crusher, that is VSIC. After VSIC, again it is screened, and then it is taken to the washing plant, that is classifier, and then it is stored for either transported for the construction purpose. The M sand here is manufactured. Hope you understood the procedure of manufacturing M sand. The next is what is this next? The next is advantages. What are the advantages of manufactured sand? It is well graded in the required proportion for construction. As it is a manufactured sand, it can be graded as per your requirement. That is one of the advantage. The next is it does not contain an organic or soluble compound that affect the cement setting time. As I told, it is made of manufactured sand. It does not contain any natural vegetable matter in the sand, but but in the river sand you can find all that one. But in the M sand, it is free from all the organic matter. The next is it is artificially manufactured, so the required property can be obtained. As I told now only, as it is an artificially made sand, you can alter the properties of sand as per your requirement. The next is it does not contain impurities such as clay, silt, which is present in river sand. Therefore, the M sand, by using this M sand, it increases the quality of concrete and durability of concrete. The next advantage is it is cheaper than the river sand. And the next is it is an economical and eco-friendly material. These are all some of the advantages of M sand. Hope you have understood the advantages of M sand. The next is what is the difference between M sand and river sand? M sand. This M sand is manufactured in a factory. River sand is naturally available in the near the river banks. And then the moisture content. The moisture is available only in water washed M sand, not in the dry classifiers. In the river sand, the moisture is present, is trapped in between the particles, which is good for the concrete purposes. The next is concrete strength. It can this as in the properties only I told, it leads to higher strengths, lesser concrete compared to M sand. In the M sand, the silt content is 0. In the river sand, the silt content is about 3%. Cement consumption. Here in the M sand, the cement requirement is less, but in the river sand, more cement is required to make a concrete or mortar. These are all some of the differences between the M sand and river sand. Hope you have understood the difference between this M sand and river sand. Next, I'll play a small video for the manufacturing of M sand. Please go through this.
have understood this manufacture sand. Thank you so much for this session. If you have any queries, please write it to us. Thank you so much.